You have one team that leaves you behind, doesn't want you anymore. You get thrown into another team that's kind of struggling, and here you are, champion.
Yeah, to me, there's no such thing as giving up in my book. You can't really give up because to me that doesn't exist. You got to just keep going. When you have a dream and you want something so bad, you'll find a way to get it done. And shoot, we're champs.
Or you just go to YouTube, right?
Or you go to YouTube. There you go.
Wait, this is YouTube? Is Luis Perez coming for my job next? If that, though, doesn't represent the XFL, I don't know what does. Welcome to That's Good Sports. I'm Brandon Perna, and the Renegades are XFL champions, shocking the world by dismantling the DC Defenders in the final game. If you don't know, that was Renegades QB Luis Perez, who led Arlington to victory, and his story is incredible. Today, I will give you the best and worst of the XFL championship game while also providing some backstory on Luis Perez, who he is, and why you should care about him. Let's do it. Let's get sports. Today's episode is sponsored by Manscaped.com/GoodSports. Father's Day is coming up, and it's time your dad knows that you're thinking about his hygiene and body hair. I've already given my dad the Lawnmower 4.0 for Father's Day. No clue if he uses it because I don't ask my dad about his pubes. I've given him the Weed Whacker 2.0 nose and ear hair trimmer, which I knows he uses. And you can get your dad both with the Performance Package 4.0 for Father's Day. Recently, my dad copied me and grew a beard. Recently, Manscaped added the Beard Hedger beard trimmer, and this is 100% what he is getting for Father's Day. I use the Hedger every week for my beard, and its zoom wheel allows you to easily switch to 20 different beard lengths, and its titanium-coated T-blade cuts through the thickest of hair with ease. My dad is new to having a beard, so this is one area I can teach him a thing or two, since I've had mine for over a decade now. Use my link below, manscaped.com/goodsports for 20% off, plus free international shipping. Alright, we cannot talk about this game without setting the scene, and it starts with the 28-year-old bowler turned professional quarterback named Luis Perez. Perez played tight end for his high school football team in Chula Vista, California, but quit before he even got to varsity. Despite not even playing against the highest competition in high school, Perez walked on at Southwestern College in Chula Vista as a QB. Coaches told him to switch positions, but he did not budge, even though he was stuck as the 9th quarterback on the depth chart, featuring 9 quarterbacks. Eventually, after sticking around through transfers and injuries, Perez ascended to 2nd in the QB room, and when Southwestern's starter got hurt, it was his time. But you might be wondering, how the hell did a guy who barely played tight end in high school football eventually become the starting quarterback for a college football team? Well, the answer is right here in front of you. No, literally, this website, this app, YouTube. He was entirely self-taught, aided only by videos you and I have access to.
I had a really good quarterback coach when I first started. His name was Achilles Smith. I don't know if you remember. He was a 99.
We know Achilles Smith.
In those few months while he was mentoring me, I was also on YouTube and, just mechanics, right? I wanted to make sure the fundamentals were there.
Some people teach themselves how to play the guitar or unflood your basement. And Perez taught himself how to play the most important position in sports. When he finally got his chance at Southwestern, he excelled, eventually transferring to Texas A&M Commerce, where he earned the title of Offensive Player of the Year in the Lone Star Conference. He was truly the Lone Star in the Lone Star Conference. In 2017, his final year, Perez threw for 46 touchdowns, and while he did go undrafted, the Los Angeles Rams gave him a mini camp invite before the 2018 season. After playing in the preseason and spending a couple weeks on the practice squad, the Rams cut Perez, and that's where the carousel of teams and leagues begins. Let's just go down the list here. The Birmingham Iron of the defunct American Alliance of Football. Luis clinched a playoff berth for the Iron before the league folded. The Eagles and Lions, he was on both of those teams, but neither resulted in a regular season roster spot. During the ill-fated 2020 XFL season, Perez was assigned to the Los Angeles Wildcats and later traded to the New York Guardians. Neither team made it to the 2023 XFL reboot. 2 years later, Perez plays a full season with the New Jersey Generals in the USFL, throwing the first touchdown in the league's illustrious history, having 9 TDs to just 1 pick by the end of the season, the best record in the North before his team got bounced in the playoffs by Philly. And finally, this season in the new XFL, Perez didn't actually start the season in fucking Arlington. No, he was drafted by the Vegas Vipers, who were truly a bad team this season, and in week 7, with nothing to play for, they shipped Perez off to the Renegades, who needed a quarterback, and they got one. The one. The Gades snuck into the playoffs with a losing record, but Perez played immaculate in their first playoff game, throwing 3 touchdowns and no interceptions as Arlington shocked the favored Houston Roughnecks. When you're tossing 3 tutties against a Wade Phillips defense, you know you're doing something right. Which sets the stage for this game, the inaugural 3rd reboot, 2nd XFL championship game. The underdog Renegades against the juggernaut DC Defenders, who took down Seattle just a week ago to get there. These two teams met in San Ann, and we got a hell of a game in the Alamo Dome. Starting with my best tone-setting drive, the opener by the Renegades. A couple quick passes to Leighton Vander Esch's cousin, Caleb, helped Perez find a very open Sal Cannella, who slips right through 2 DC defenders for a 41-yard touchdown to get the game going. Vander Esch's cousin and Sal. Boom. Cousin Sal. Better call Cousin Sal. The Renegades kept their foot on the throttle behind the legs of running back Davion Smith, and my best catch of the day by Tyler Vaughn's on the sideline, holding onto the rock after taking a shot, not to be confused with taking a shot of the Rock's tequila. Now Perez fired his 2nd touchdown of the day to the back of the end zone to Vaughn's, making another tough catch. Now, if you want to understand how much Perez helped this Renegades offense, then I should note this was the first time the Renegades scored 14 points in the first quarter all season. They outgained the defenders in the first with 174 yards to DC's -1, and that is why the Renegades defense, who has been stout all season, gets my Unsung Hero award. They allowed Perez to play loose on the other side of the ball and netted a key red zone pick in the second that kept DC reeling for most of the first half. Best duo, Will Hill and Joe Powell, combining for that red zone pick, which basically resulted in a 9-point swing after Perez and the offense drove down the field and answered with an easy field goal by Taylor Russolino, who was 16-19 on the season, but perfect in his postseason run with the team. Worst, this game being a blowout for most of the first half, the defenders finally scored a touchdown with about 32 seconds left in the first half. It was running back Abram Smith breaking the drought on a 1-yard TD run, but even that was marred as Perez and the offense marched right back down the field with my best catch, an individual performer, going to Tyler Vaughn's. I don't know how he holds on to move the sticks here. He finished the game catching all 8 of his targets, many contested, with that earlier touchdown and 83 yards. That drive set up a clutch 51-yard field goal to close out the half. The Renegades were deadly on 3rd down, converting early and often, finishing the game 10-12, keeping the chains moving and keeping the ball away from Jordan Teyamu. The XFL did air Luis Perez's halftime speech.
I don't care what the score is. Do not let up. Yo. Do not let up.
Niggas out, man.
Come on. Do not let up.
Let's go.
We're right here. It's in our hands. Defense, they don't score, they don't win. Let's go. Let's finish this damn game.
And for whatever reason, old Mike Florio thought that would be a good thing to shit on for no reason on Twitter. Okay, Mike, only I get to make fun of XFL players, but that's because I love them and I support them every week. Quit punching down, you scab. Best giving democracy and DC hope Abram Smith, who broke off a 52-yard touchdown run on the first drive of the second half, best run of the game, almost single-handedly getting the defenders back into this contest. Unfortunately for them, the Renegades answered right back, driving down the field and capping it off with a Letty Brown touchdown. This was one of the most important drives of the game, in my opinion, not allowing DC to steal the momentum and showing them that if they wanted to win, they'd have to do it in a shootout. Best quarterback not named Luis Perez? Jordan Te'amu, who, despite the interceptions, did some really good things in this game as well, like throwing this 72-yard bomb for a touchdown to Josh Hammond at the very end of the third quarter. Hammond also had a night, 2 touchdowns, 127 receiving yards, and the near execution of an XFL cameraman. But this massive touchdown made it a 1-score game for the defenders. But worst penalty came after that touchdown. On the point after, Abram Smith was flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct. The kickoff was moved all the way back to the 15, and the ball on the kick didn't travel past the 20 into the return zone, so DC was penalized.
That's why guys can't do dumb shit.
Giving the Renegades the ball on DC's 45, which gave Perez the layup to Letty Brown, finishing with a tough run and powering into the end zone for his second score of the third quarter. That score was my worst demoralizer for the defenders. Renegades linebacker Brandon, nice name, Rusnek followed that up by tipping the ball to himself, corralling the interception and putting together a pretty nice return. DC was, however, able to keep Arlington out of the end zone, and Taylor Russolino nailed his third field goal of the game, making it a 15-pointer. And this is where the game could have turned for the defenders if old poor Chris Blair didn't have the worst drop of the game in the fourth, a near 70-yard touchdown erased. Luckily, Blair had Luis Perez do him a solid and take the heat off his mistake with the worst possible fumble at the worst possible juncture. Instead of being able to close this game out, Perez fumbled the snap from under center and gave DC just a little bit of life with 2 minutes left. Needing a pair of scores, Jordan Te'amu went to hurry up and put together a really impressive quick drive, getting the ball into the end zone via a catch and run from Josh Hammond. That would be his second of the game. Now remember, in the XFL, you can do an onside kick, or you can opt for a 4th and 15 attempt. And down 9 points, which is a 1-score game, DC lined up for the 4th down. Te'amu had a good pocket, but threw it into a crowd, and former Chicago Bear Cravon Matt LeBlanc picked it off to essentially end the game. And I do have an update on my worst friendly fire. Cameraman Tony Morano took a brutal shot on the sideline by Hammond. He was ultimately carted off the field after like a 10-minute stop in the game. We received 0 updates about the situation during the game, but I can report Moreno was released the next morning from the hospital with a minor concussion. Personally, I prefer my concussions to be of age, but knowing his x-rays and scans all came back negative, this is a good sign. During the championship, we had my best guest, which was XFL QB Ben Adanici, who came onto my live stream thanks to the greatness of the internet. Namely, all of you who tagged him on Twitter and told him to join me.
We all thought Arlington was going to win this game, so I'm really not surprised at how this game's going. I got to hear. I mean, you got to show me where we're at with it now. So let one rip for me.
It's like Ben Adanici.
Making me tired.
Again, he came on my live stream during the championship where we're raising money for the Alzheimer's Association. That link is below, and we've been selling these Brandon Perna shirts. Pre-order. There's only 4 days left to get these shirts. They are $69, but all of the proceeds from these dumb shirts that started out as an April Fool's joke are going to the Alzheimer's Association. Link below, benchwarmerbrew.com if you want to help raise money for a good cause.
Ladies and gentlemen, your MVP of the XFL Championship game, Luis Perez.
After being traded to the Renegades, he finished the regular season 1-2 as the Arlington starter, but flipped the switch in the postseason and played near perfect football. 6 touchdowns, no picks in those 2 games, and in this game he was 26 of 36, averaging 8 yards per attempt. He was essentially 2012 Joe Flacco in this postseason, but instead of breaking my heart, he made the XFL postseason fun to watch and gave this league a highly entertaining championship game. The trophy presentation was fun to watch, but I would make one change, okay? Get rid of the XFL logo and the ball from the trophy and just have it be a bronze statue of The Rock's forearms. Overall, this season, really impressed by the quality of play in the XFL. Not just in this game, whole season. It's been by far the most entertaining of the many spring leagues we've seen the last 5 years. I think it's going to remain viable for years to come. I've said it many times, but the XFL isn't just a good thing on its own. It's great for the players to get them live reps, new tape, and hopefully a chance at the next level again, which ultimately makes the NFL a better and deeper league. Boom! Thanks for watching the XFL Championship recap. I appreciate you guys watching these episodes all season long. I think we had well over 1 million views on all of the XFL content, which is just insane. Appreciate your support.